After working 2 shifts and fixing my sister-in-law's car for free, I came home covered in grease. My wife rolled her eyes and said, "Don't touch anything." I went to shower, only to find a man's belt on the bathroom floor. It wasn't mine. When I asked her, she laughed and said, "What are you going to do, cry?" I quietly packed a bag, left, and spent the night at my mom's. The next week, I sent her divorce papers with a note, "You can have him. He owes child support on 2 kids." Her face when she found out was priceless. It was a Friday night, in the middle of August. Hot as hell in Dayton, Ohio. I'd already pulled 2 shifts back-to-back at the shop. Woke up at 5 a.m., didn't get off until after 9 p.m. Right when I was about to head home, I got a call from Amanda, my wife of 6 years. Her voice had that tight, stressed-out tone she used whenever her family needed something. "Josh, Gina's car won't start. She's stuck and she has to work tomorrow morning. Can you just go look at it real quick?" I didn't even think twice. Gina's a pain in the ass, always has been. Never could get her life together. But family's family, right? That's how I was raised. So instead of going home to a cold shower and my couch, I drove 30 minutes out to Gina's apartment complex, toolbox rattling in the back seat. Her car, some beat-up Saturn, looked like it hadn't had an oil change since Bush was in office. Hood was jammed shut, oil leaking out onto the pavement. I spent 4 hours under the damn thing. Sweating bullets, getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, banging my knuckles against rusted metal. Fixed her starter, patched up a hose, cleaned out her battery terminals. I didn't charge her a dime. I didn't even ask for a "thank you." When I finally limped back to my truck, it was close to 2 a.m. I was coated in grease from head to toe, sore, dead tired, and stinking like a diesel engine. I figured, at the very least, Amanda would appreciate what I'd done. Yeah. No. I dragged myself through the front door, trying not to track grease everywhere. I could barely lift my arms. Amanda was on the couch, lounging in her pajamas, scrolling through her phone with the TV blaring some trashy dating show. She looked up, made a face like I was a cockroach that just crawled out of the sewer, and said, in this disgusted voice, "Don't touch anything." No smile. No kiss. Not even a, "Hey, how'd it go?" Just pure disgust, like I was beneath her. I stood there a minute, feeling like a kicked dog. Then I just sighed, pulled my boots off by the door, and went straight for the bathroom. Figured I'd wash off the day and crash. When I stepped into the bathroom, something was off immediately. There, lying in the middle of the floor, was a belt. Black leather. Brand new. Way too fancy for me. Had one of those shiny, square buckles like you see in those expensive men's stores at the mall. I froze. I picked it up. My hands were shaking without me realizing it. I knew it wasn't mine. I only owned one belt, a worn-out brown one Amanda bought me from Walmart 5 years ago. I turned around and called out, "Amanda? Whose belt is this?" She didn't even bother to get up. Just hollered from the couch, "Oh, it's nothing. Don't worry about it." I stood there for a second, listening to the TV laugh track echo down the hall. The belt dangled from my hand like it weighed 100 pounds. I walked into the living room. I guess maybe I was hoping she'd say something, anything, that would make sense. That would make me believe it was some mistake. Instead, when she saw me standing there, she laughed. Straight up laughed in my face. Like I was some sad clown who didn't know the joke was on him. She smirked, leaned back against the couch, and said, "What are you gonna do, cry about it?" That moment right there. It killed something in me. Something snapped clean in half. I didn't yell. I didn't throw things. I didn't even argue. I just turned, walked back to the bedroom, grabbed a duffel bag, stuffed it with some clothes, a spare pair of boots, and my tool kit. Took my keys off the counter. Walked right past her and out the door. She didn't even try to stop me. I drove across town to my mom's house. My mom's getting older, living alone since Dad passed, but she still had that sixth sense. She opened the door in her robe, saw my face, and pulled me into a hug without saying a word. I spent that night lying in my old bed, staring at the cracked ceiling, thinking about every sacrifice I had made for Amanda. How I used to drive 3 hours to visit her in college. How I worked overtime for months so we could afford her stupid Pinterest wedding. How I skipped vacations, nights out with friends, everything, just to make sure she never had to worry about money. And for what? A belt on the floor and a smirk. I didn't waste any more time. First thing Monday morning, I called a lawyer. A buddy from high school, Matt, who owed me a favor. He got the ball rolling on the divorce paperwork fast. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet. Didn't answer Amanda's texts. Didn't answer when she called, just to talk. Let her twist in the wind. I wasn't going to scream and beg like some sad fool. I was going to bury her with silence. While Matt handled the paperwork, I called my coworker Rick. Rick's one of those guys who knows everybody and everything happening around town. Told him what was going on. Asked him if he could find out who the guy was. Didn't take long. Turns out the guy's name was Denny. Worked part-time at some warehouse. 2 different baby mamas in town. Owed back child support on both. Arrested twice for failure to pay. Also had a record for getting into bar fights and a DUI last year. Real winner. Real Prince Charming. I guess Amanda thought she was upgrading from greasy mechanic to bad boy. Good luck with that. After a week of silence, I decided to hit her where it hurt. I had Matt send the divorce papers straight to Amanda's job, the same diner where Gina worked. Middle of lunch rush on a Saturday. The papers came with a note. Nothing fancy. Just a little piece of notebook paper folded inside, you can have him. He owes child support on 2 kids. Hope you like broke men. From what Rick told me later, she opened the envelope right there at the counter. Read the note. Turned pale. Then turned beet red. Screamed at the top of her lungs. Threw a glass of water across the room. Stormed out the front door, crying. Left Gina to pick up the mess. The fallout was glorious. After the papers got served, I figured that was the end of it. I was wrong. Amanda didn't go quietly. She didn't accept it. Not even close. A couple days after the diner meltdown, she showed up at my mom's house. Didn't even knock. Just started pounding on the front door like a lunatic. It was around 7 p.m., I was eating dinner with my mom, watching old westerns on TV. Mom peeked out the window, face going tight. "It's her," she said, voice low. "I'll handle it," I told her. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. Amanda stood there on the porch, face all red and blotchy from crying, mascara running down her cheeks. "Josh, please," she said, grabbing my arm. "It wasn't what you think. It didn't mean anything. It was just a mistake." I stared at her hand on my arm until she finally let go. "A mistake?" I said, voice low. "You laughed in my face." She wiped at her nose, smearing her makeup even worse. "I was scared. I didn't think you'd leave. I thought we could fix it." I just shook my head. I wasn't even angry anymore. I felt nothing. Just tired. "You picked him. You live with it." That's when she got nasty. Like flipping a switch. Her face twisted up, full of rage. "You think you're better than me? You're just a damn grease monkey. You'll die broke in some garage no one cares about. I didn't say a word. I just turned and walked back inside. Locked the door behind me. Listened to her pound on it for a few more minutes, screaming about how I'd regret this. When she finally drove off, tires screeching, Mom just looked at me and said, "Good riddance." I thought that would be the worst of it. I thought she'd lick her wounds and move on. Wrong again. The next week, I started getting weird phone calls at work. Private numbers. Sometimes they'd hang up. Sometimes they'd leave nasty voicemails. "You're nothing without her. Real men fight for their wives. You're gonna die alone, loser." Real mature stuff. Then someone keyed my truck. Deep, angry gouges all along the driver's side. Scratched, loser, right into the paint. Rick checked the security cameras at the shop, but the footage was grainy. Could have been anybody. I knew it was Amanda. Or maybe Denny. Or maybe both. I didn't bother calling the cops. What were they gonna do? File a report and forget about it? I just got the truck repainted and kept my head down. But Amanda wasn't done screwing herself over. About 3 weeks later, I got a call from Gina, of all people. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity got the better of me. "Josh," she said, voice shaky. "You need to know. Amanda's pregnant. She's telling everybody it's yours." I almost dropped the phone. "What?" I said. "Yeah," Gina whispered. "She's been going around telling people you two were working things out, and that the baby's yours. She's trying to make you look bad. Trying to make you come back." I felt like the ground was falling out from under me. Because we hadn't touched each other in months before I left. Which meant it was Denny's kid. No doubt about it. But Amanda was out there, lying. Trying to drag my name through the dirt. I called my lawyer. Told him everything. He filed an emergency petition with the court, making it clear, I wanted a full DNA test the second that baby was born. No exceptions. Matt smirked when he filed the papers. "She's digging her own grave, Josh," he said. "Let her." Meanwhile, word got around town fast. Dayton ain't that big. People talk. Especially when it's juicy. Suddenly, Amanda's friends stopped texting me hate messages. Some even started reaching out, apologizing for believing her lies. Turns out Denny had been bragging at a bar one night about knocking up some married chick. Real classy. The more Amanda lied, the worse she looked. And the deeper she sank into the mess she made. But the best twist? Denny got arrested again, this time for assault after a bar fight, just a month later. Got sentenced to 60 days in jail. Which meant Amanda was stuck alone. Pregnant. Broke. Working doubles at the diner. Living in a crappy motel by the highway. Exactly the life she chose when she laughed in my face that night. And me? I was just getting started. I thought maybe that was it, that she'd just live out the mess she made. But Amanda still had one last stunt up her sleeve. One night, about 2 months after Denny got locked up, I got home from a long day at the shop. I was staying in a small rental house by then. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. My name on the lease. My rules. I pulled into the driveway, feeling good for the first time in a long while. That's when I noticed the front door was cracked open. My stomach dropped. I shut off the truck and crept up the walkway, toolbox still in my hand just in case I needed to swing it at somebody. Pushed the door open slow. And there she was. Amanda. Sitting on my couch. Crying. Big, ugly sobs, face buried in her hands. A couple grocery bags sat at her feet. Packed with clothes. Like she thought she could just move back in. "What the hell are you doing here?" I said, voice low. She jumped up, tears streaming down her face, rushing at me like some lost puppy. "Josh, please. I made a mistake. I don't love him. I don't want him. I want you. I want us. I'll change, I swear." I stood there, staring at her, feeling absolutely nothing. Not anger. Not love. Not even hate. Just emptiness. "You need to leave," I said. She dropped to her knees, grabbing onto my jeans like a crazy person. "I'm pregnant. I need you. Please, I don't have anywhere else to go," she sobbed. And for 1 second, the old part of me, the idiot part that once loved her, almost cracked. Almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the night she laughed in my face. I remembered the belt. The grease still under my fingernails while she smiled and twisted the knife. "You made your bed," I said, voice hard. "Go lie in it." I pulled out my phone and called the cops right in front of her. Told them a trespasser had broken into my house. Amanda's face went from pleading to furious in half a second. "You heartless bastard," she screamed. "I'm carrying your child." "Then prove it," I said, dead calm. When the cops showed up, she tried to put on the waterworks. Said it was a misunderstanding. That she lived here. They didn't buy it. I showed them my lease with just my name on it. Showed them the texts from her blowing up my phone after the divorce papers. They gave her 2 choices, leave quietly, or go to jail for trespassing. She left. Still screaming, still threatening to ruin me. I figured after that, she'd finally crawl away and stay gone. Wrong again. A few weeks later, Gina called me up again. "You're not gonna believe this," she said. Apparently Amanda had cooked up a new lie. She started telling people I was abusive. That I used to control her. That I forced her to stay home and isolated her from her friends. Complete lies. Everyone who knew me, really knew me, knew it wasn't true. I worked my ass off to give her everything she ever wanted. She just got bored. Still, lies have a way of spreading like wildfire, especially in a small town. Some old friends started giving me funny looks. Some stopped talking to me altogether. It hurt. It made me angry in a way the belt and the laughter never could. She wasn't just trying to ruin my heart anymore. She was trying to ruin my name. My life. My future. I decided then and there, I wasn't going to just sit back and watch her tear me apart. I was going to burn down everything she built her little fantasy life on. Piece by piece. I wasn't gonna scream. Wasn't gonna fight dirty. I was going to be smart. Patient. Brutal. The way she never saw coming. After Amanda started spreading lies about me, I knew I had 2 options. Sit back and hope people figured it out on their own, or make sure the truth came out in a way nobody could ignore. I chose option 2. First thing I did was talk to Rick and a few other guys who still had my back. They agreed to start telling people the real story, the belt, the affair, the motel with Denny, the fake pregnancy rumors. But that wasn't enough. Amanda had poisoned too many wells already. So I went 1 step further. I hired a private investigator. Yeah, it cost me money I didn't really have. But it was worth every damn penny. The guy was good. Real good. In less than 3 weeks, he handed me a thick folder full of evidence, photos of Amanda going into motels with Denny way before I ever left. Screenshots of her messaging 3 different guys behind my back, flirting, making plans. Financial records showing she'd been secretly draining our joint savings account months before the belt incident. She'd been stealing from me. Sleeping around. lying to my face. And laughing about it the whole time. The PI even found out Denny wasn't the only one she'd cheated with. There were at least 2 other guys. One of them was her boss at the diner. Armed with that folder, I went to Matt, my lawyer. "Can we use this?" I asked. He flipped through it, eyebrows going higher with every page. "Not only can we use this," he said, "we're gonna bury her with it." Matt filed motions with the court. Motions that made everything in that folder public record. Anybody who cared to look could see exactly who Amanda really was. But that wasn't even the end of it. Remember how she claimed the baby was mine? DNA test came back the second that kid was born. 0% chance. Not mine. Not even close. The judge hammered the final nail into her coffin. Ruled that she would get nothing from me, no alimony, no support, no claims on any of my assets. She was officially on her own. And Denny? He bailed the second he got out of jail. Disappeared. Left her and the baby behind without a second thought. Last I heard, she was living in a crumbling 1-bedroom apartment above a pawn shop, working 2 diner jobs to stay afloat. Meanwhile, I was moving on. Got a promotion at the shop. Saved up for a new truck. Started dating again, nothing serious yet, but better women. Kinder. Honest. It took time to clean the mess Amanda made of my life. But every day, it got a little better. A little easier. A little quieter. And when I finally slept at night, I slept deep. Peaceful. Without wondering if someone was laughing behind my back. A few months after everything came crashing down, I ran into Amanda again. It was late October. I was picking up some parts from a local hardware store. Leaves were blowing across the parking lot, cold air biting through my jacket. I was minding my business, loading up the truck, when I heard someone call my name. I turned and saw her. Amanda. She looked rough. Hair pulled back in a messy knot. Face pale and worn. Clothes hanging off her like she'd lost 20 pounds she didn't have to lose. No makeup. No smug smile. Just a woman who'd gambled her whole life and lost. In her arms, she held a baby, Denny's kid, bundled up in a ratty pink blanket. She stood there, shifting from foot to foot, clearly uncomfortable. "Josh," she said, voice small. "Can we talk?" I leaned against the truck, arms crossed. Didn't say yes. Didn't say no. Just waited. She took a deep breath. I just wanted to say I'm sorry," she said. "For everything. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt you." I stared at her, feeling that old familiar numbness creep in. The same feeling I had the night I found that belt. The same feeling I had when she laughed at me. I thought about everything, the lies, the cheating, the way she tried to destroy my name. She looked at me, waiting. Maybe hoping for some small piece of forgiveness. Maybe hoping I'd offer her a kind word. A second chance. I gave her nothing. Not anger. Not pity. Just the truth. "You're not sorry," I said. "You're just lonely." She flinched like I'd slapped her. For a second, she looked like she might argue. Might beg. But then the baby started crying, and she realized I wasn't going to save her. Not this time. Not ever again. Without another word, she turned and walked away. Her shoulders hunched against the cold. The baby wailing in her arms. Nobody there to help her. Nobody there to clean up her mess. She had made her choices. And now she had to live with them. Alone. As for me, I got in my truck. Turned the key. And drove away without looking back. Not because I was angry. Not because I wanted revenge anymore. Because I was free. Truly free. And I wasn't going to waste another second on someone who thought it was funny to break a man who would have done anything for her. She taught me something important, though. Something I carry with me every day: when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time.